Welcome to the show, everybody. It's the Farzy Show, presented by MyBookie, mybookie.ag. Nice to have you along for the ride. I took some time to write out the lyrics to one of my favorite songs because I feel like it would be a good way to describe the way the Philadelphia Eagles played. It's a beautiful song. It's a lovely marriage of words and music and rhythm, as a matter of fact. And this is a song that I think best describes how the Philadelphia Eagles play. I hope you don't mind. I haven't really slept, so I hope you don't mind my singing voice. Here you go. Ready? F. The end. There you go. I think that's those are the only lyrics I think I really need to describe what the Philadelphia Eagles did last night in Seattle. That was god awful. And here is the worst part, other than the fact that they lost. The worst part of the loss, I should say. I think it was mostly Jalen Hurts' interceptions. I know a lot of people looking at game plan, but here's what kind of stings the most about last night's game. They started out so great. They started out so phenomenal, the Philadelphia Eagles did. 15 plays, 75 yards. Good God, moving the ball down the field like it was nothing, eating up the vast majority of the clock, a damn near 9-minute drive down the field that ended with Jalen Hurts scrambling into the end zone there, taking it to the outside for the touchdown, 7-0 Eagles. They ran the ball 10 times on that drive. They showed creativity on that drive. You saw the tight end screen that we've seen a billion times with this Eagles offense. The tight end screen, they ran it a little differently on that first drive where they had Dallas Goedert kind of slip back behind the blocks as opposed to just stand and do one of these Johns. You know what I'm saying? He didn't do that. You know, he did it kind of like a little slick move there. I'm like, oh, a little motion right there. Not really motion, but there's a little motion. And then they actually ran motion. I believe it was with Jack Stahl bouncing out to the outside while he was in the backfield. I'm like, what? I'm seeing motion? There's a motion offense? I know there was all the big to-do and hubbub about moving the defensive coordinator positions, the defensive play caller, where they changed things up on the offensive side of things a little bit. I don't know. They were running that football pretty well. Darius Slay, Kenny Gainwell, Jalen Hurts, they were doing some things a little bit different there on that opening drive. And then where the hell did that go? They score. They did well. They forced a 3-and-out defensively. They show you press coverage in the first defensive possession with a single high safety press coverage. I'm like, all right, man, Patricia, nice to see you. And then where did that go? That went by the wayside. And then the creativity on the offense went by the wayside. Then you're able to get a long, sustained drive back. You got to settle for a field goal. The thing that sucked about it was that they showed you what they could do. It was like they were listening to the advice we have been giving them as a fan base and as media. They performed it on the field, performed it well to the point of a touchdown, and then it just kind of vanished. And then after that, Jalen Hurts was terrible. I know people have this thing where they want to coddle the quarterback. I don't believe in that. I think you could be critical of a quarterback's performance. I think you could be critical of a quarterback's performance over the last 3 games that we've watched here with Jalen Hurts. We have certainly been critical of other quarterbacks in our past here in Philadelphia. And we were certainly coddling for a long time in Carson Wentz. I don't believe in quarterback coddling. I am a fan of Jalen Hurts. I believe Jalen Hurts is a much better quarterback than what we have seen over the last 3 games. And I believe Jalen Hurts is a much better quarterback than what we saw yesterday. But yesterday, he was terrible. Terrible. And the play that I'm going to jump to, I know a lot of people look at the last play of the game. He threw up an albeit a Hail Mary. He didn't need to throw up that Hail Mary in that instance. And yes, he did have Kenny Gainwell there in the second interception, leaking out on a delayed route that would have gotten them at least 15 more yards and well into field goal range for Jake Elliott. He decided not to go there. He didn't see it, first and foremost. I don't know if he didn't know that Kenny Gainwell was going to be leaking out there. I don't know if Kenny Gainwell leaked out too late. I don't know what happened on that last play. All I know is the result. The result is Jalen Hurts didn't wait for that leak route there. Waited, delayed route, rather. Step back, fired the ball well downfield when he had no reason, no need to do it, and it was picked off. Shocker, it was picked off. But the interception before that, his first interception of the game, early in the fourth quarter, 8:15 left in the fourth quarter. Eagles were up 17-13. You have a 1st and 10. Long time to go here. You have the opportunity here for another very nice, very beautiful, very calming, very relaxing, sustained drive down the field. It's already a 4-point game. Eagles have the ball back. They got the ball back on their own 25. Next thing you know, they are able to move up the field with an A.J. Brown reception for 15 yards. I think that was the first slant route they had thrown in a while. Then they get another first down, or excuse me, they get 5 yards on DeAndre Swift moving up the middle. Then they get a first down and another this is a Devontae Smith catch for 10 yards. And for whatever reason, from the Seattle 45-yard line, Jalen Hurts sees Quez Watkins streaking down the middle of the field, single coverage. And Jalen Hurts short arms it. Now, pause right there for a second. I know it's a lot of people's natural tendency to attack Quez Watkins in this instance because Quez Watkins is involved in a play. It automatically means we have to be ripping and tearing and shredding to pieces Quez Watkins, and somehow Quez Watkins' fault. This was not Quez Watkins' fault. Could he have interfered a little bit? Could he have broken up the play somehow? Could he have automatically flipped into a defensive back and done something to prevent it? Was he interfered with a little bit? Okay. I know a lot of people are going to focus on what Quez did wrong on this. Jalen Hurts had no business throwing that football as short as he did. And if he's going to throw that football, 2 things better damn well happen. 1, touchdown. We're all excited. Eagles tack on more points. What a throw by Jalen Hurts. Or the other one, that's not nearly as good, but still a lot better than an interception at that point. He throws the ball out of the end zone. He overthrows Quez Watkins. Those 2 things did not happen. The worst case scenario happened on a bad decision by Jalen Hurts. Yes, if you want to go to the first decision of just going to Quez Watkins in general, fine. But that far down the field at that point in the game, that's terrible. And that's an awful throw by Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts comes out in that first quarter, was great. Second quarter, especially towards the latter stages of that second quarter, he was all over the place, missing targets left and right, wildly inaccurate. Then he has another play where he was able to roll to his right, hit Devontae Smith on that field goal drive, and all of a sudden, there's the accuracy we were looking for Jalen Hurts and waiting for Jalen Hurts. Averaging 6.3 yards per attempt in that game. Not great. Also just being erratic with how he was throwing the football. Horrible. And the decision-making below that for a worse grade. This was, and I know we could go back to the Jets game as everything just not working for them for the Eagles in that game. This game felt worse than that. And maybe it was because this was such a big game for the Eagles. It was like you win this game, and oh man, the Cowboys let the door wide open for you. You can attack, and then take it to the Giants, then take it to Jonathan Gannon and the Arizona Cardinals, and you have the door wide open to win the NFC East. Oh, now that's still a tough road ahead. You can still do it. The Cowboys still have a tough opponent, at least on their schedule, in the Miami Dolphins. And now it's like, I don't know who I can trust on this team. I can't trust Jalen Hurts right now with the way he's playing. And, he's sick. He's not feeling well. I hope then he had a severe flu and still played and tried to gut it out. That's what I'm hoping for. That the reason he wasn't exactly all there between the ears yesterday was because he was sick. That's what I'm hoping for. If he's out there on the football field, he's trying to help his team win. He puts up 17 points against that defense. We went over the numbers yesterday, guys. It's pretty awful what they went up against yesterday. The Eagles went up against a pass defense that is the 26th. It's ranked 26th in the NFL. They allowed 243 yards through the air. That's what this Seattle defense does. Jalen Hurts through the air yesterday, 143 yards. He got 100 fewer yards through the air yesterday. Total offense, not good either. Not good even a little bit. And then points, they're 25th in points. They allow 24.5 points per game. The Eagles scored 17. The Eagles were healthy on offense with the exception of Cam Jurgens. You mean to tell me Cam Jurgens is the MVP of this team all of a sudden? I don't think so. No excuses. No getting around it. And I know people will get to play calling. It wasn't play calling yesterday. I know people are going to dig deep and talk about Nick Serianni and what happened on the defense side of the football. Defense side of the football is not the reason they lost this game. Defense was on the field last. Yeah. But even when they gave the ball back to the Eagles, and technically the offense was on the field last, Jalen Hurts threw another interception. There were better plays to be made on the field. When there are better plays to be made on the field, not necessarily better calls to be made from the sideline, when there are better plays to be made right there for the taking on the field, I look at the players, and in this case, I look at the quarterback, Jalen Hurts. And Jalen Hurts played a terrible game yesterday. Decision-making was off the charts terrible. Still love the guy. Still think he's going to do great things in the NFL. I don't think he's a one-hit wonder. I don't think he's a one-year wonder. I don't think he's another Carson Wentz or anything like that. And I sure as damn well hell do not think he's a glorified running back, as I see in the comments in so many different places. Not even close. But yesterday was a terrible game. We can admit that to ourselves, can't we? But looking at this game yesterday and looking at the fact that this offense with A.J. Brown, with Devontae Smith, with DeAndre Swift, Dallas Goedert, they couldn't go into this game and come out with a better result than what we saw. That is piss poor, and there are no excuses for that. If you're healthy enough to play, I want to see you play at a high level. I admire guys that'll gut it out and they'll work their asses off and they'll really try to be there for their team, but he wasn't there yesterday. And you know what? When the people want to blame the coaches and play calling before the player, I'll look at this. When was this Eagles team at its best? First 15 plays. The fingerprints of the coaches and the game plan is on the 15 plays more so than at any other point in the game. And that's where they flourished. If Jalen Hurts completes passes, if Jalen Hurts is accurate, if Jalen Hurts takes opportunities when he's time to throw, which was a good amount of yesterday, then they should have won this game. He should have played better than he did yesterday. If you want to wipe it off the books and say, oh, he was sick, I'm fine with it. This is a 3-game winning streak now. Or excuse me, oh my God. This is a 3-game losing streak now. And it's the third straight game the Eagles offense failed to put up 20 or more points. This offense with these weapons? Oh, no, that ain't cool. And one of those games was at home against San Francisco 49ers. This was a game. And another thing. I know people want to talk about how much Drew Lock sucks. And don't get me wrong, I think Drew Lock sucks. Okay. But I don't care if you're the worst quarter. DeMarcus Russell could complete passes to these receivers, okay, on Seattle. Now, think about that. I told you going into this game, people were feeling some confident about, oh, you should win this game. And you should win this game. We didn't know whether or not it was going to be Geno Smith or it was going to be Drew Lock. You tell me Drew Lock starts this game. You tell me Drew Lock starts this game. And this defense, with no Darius Slay, and say whatever the hell you want about Darius Slay, he's been your best corner all year. And you hold that offense to 20 points? You mean to tell me this Eagles offense couldn't put up 21 points? Couldn't put up 24? Couldn't put up 30 on this Seattle Seahawks defense? Take a listen one more time. 26 in the NFL in pass yards allowed. 23rd in the NFL in rush yards allowed. Total yards allowed in the NFL, 28th most yards allowed per game. 367 yards allowed on average. And 25th in points per game. That's what it was going into this. And Jalen Hurts in this offense, this healthy offense, couldn't take it to him. Oh, my goodness. So, and who are you firing now? Who gets fired now on the offensive side of the football? I mean, Nick said after the game last night, and we'll get to it, that no, he's not making any other changes. Well, I really can't believe you, Nick, because you liked your linebacking core. You liked Christian Ellis, and now he's a Patriot. You liked your coaching staff. You weren't going to make any changes to your coaching staff, and then all of a sudden, Matt Patricia is out of the booth. He's on the sideline, and Sean Desai is off the sideline and into the booth. Interesting. And then he told me after this game that they're not making any changes. I don't believe you. I don't believe you even a little bit. And then finally, I think it was Elliot. Yeah, it was Elliot Shore Parks that opened up the press conference earlier in the week with Nick Serianni being asked about motion, running motion. I understand it's under the scrutiny. Okay, right. It's under the scrutiny, right? But scrutiny. But we gotta do what we feel that we do well. And there's other ways to see what the defense is doing other than motion. And then what do we see again in that first possession? Motion. I forget who was the originator of the line, but whoever said it first, it was brilliant. It was absolutely brilliant. Very simple line. You end up making decisions with the fans or like the fans, you're going to end up sitting with them. This seems and is absolute without question. It has the stank of desperation all over it. And desperate teams, if they don't match that desperation with urgency and execution, then they just sink deeper and deeper in the proverbial metaphorical quicksand. And that's where the Eagles are right now. I felt terrible about this game, regardless of Geno Smith or Drew Lock, whoever was going to start the game, whether it was going to be for the Eagles and Jalen Hurts or whether it was going to be Marcus Mariota. Here's the thing. Marcus Mariota might put up 20 points. A Marcus Mariota-led offense might put up 20 points. Maybe more than 17, tell you that much. This was awful. And even going into halftime, up 7, it felt like a loss. When they had to settle for a field goal, it felt like a loss. And even if they were going to win the game, it was still going to feel like a moral loss, as I like to call it. Well, yeah, you won. And the Eagles have certainly had their fair share of moral losses this entire season. And I thought last night was a great representation of what this year is and what this year could have been. And I don't mean what could have been in terms of, oh, man, the Eagles, they could be, 13-1, whatever the case may be, 12-2, whatever, 12-1, whatever the hell the record is now. I don't know. They just know they suck now. But anyway, looking at this team, I thought last night was a really amazing example of a couple of things. One, go back to the first Washington game where I think it was McLaurin or Dotson who stepped on Reed Blankenship's arm, and because his foot was on Reed Blankenship's arm, he ended up being out of bounds as opposed to inbounds. Like, think of that game at inches. And then think about the end of this game. I know some of you might have seen, I think it was Warren Sapp that put out the video that showed that the defensive back wasn't down. He didn't have his first foot down, so he should have been ruled out of bounds. Either way, still a game at inches. And this particular call, this inch, went in the direction of the Eagles' opponent as opposed to the direction in favor of the Eagles. Game of inches decided some games earlier in the season that the Eagles benefit. Now they're getting bit in the ass by it. Think about something else. A couple of those plays that happened against the Kansas City Chiefs. Valdez-Scantling just out of the reach, dropped into the end zone against the Eagles for what would have been the go-ahead score. And what happened last night with Smith and Jigba? Right in the caught it with his fingertips. Caught it with his fingertips in the end zone for the game-winning touchdown. Okay. Rip Hurts. I mean, here's the thing. I don't feel like I'm ripping him. I'm just highlighting the fact that he was terrible last night. The defense, okay. Ooh, James Bradberry. How is it that of your corners last night, Keely Ringo's out there. Snap count, by the way, at 6:27 in the morning. I guess with the Monday night game, it's going to take a little bit of time for the snap count to come out. Let me refresh for a second here. Let me get out of that. Let me refresh. I'm going to see if snap count came out yet. And hey, we have a winner. Snap count. All right, here you go. Pots and pans. Blankenship, Morrow, Byard, 100% of the snaps. James Bradberry, 97% of the snaps. I'm not counting Sidney Brown. We'll get to him. He played as a safety, 79% of the snaps. Keely Ringo, 52% of the snaps. Eli Ricks, 48% of the snaps. Bradley Roby, 48% of the snaps. Shaq Leonard, 46% of the snaps. Yeah, that's about where I thought he'd be. Pat Johnson at linebacker as well. Good Lord, these names are hilarious. Josh Jobe played 2 snaps. That was terrible. But in a game where you have names like Ringo, Ricks, and Roby getting so many snaps, the worst cornerback you have out there last night is James Bradberry. Didn't see that one coming. Not even a little bit. And there he was on the final drive getting beat by DK Metcalf. And there he was on the final drive on the game-winning touchdown getting beat by Smith and Jigba. That is bonkers to me. Sums up the whole season rather well to this point. You know what I'm saying? Isn't this fun? Are we having fun? James Bradberry was terrible. And after the game last night, he said he just has to play better. They caught up with him at his locker room and just said that he was in sticks and he just got beat. Did you do anything different? No, I would make the play, but I just got beat. I was in sticks. I got beat. Wasn't exactly talkative. I don't mind. Or I should say, not that I don't mind that, but I understand. I wouldn't be very talkative after that kind of performance either. Said he also got caught being too aggressive. Jalen Hurts also said after last night's game he got caught being too aggressive. Too aggressive means trying a little too hard. It means in hockey or baseball, you'd call it, or golf, gripping the stick a little too tight. Loosen the grip up a little bit, baby. And that's what James Bradberry did. That's what Jalen Hurts did last night, and it was terrible. I mentioned in yesterday's show one of the 5 things I'm going to be looking at, and one thing in particular with Matt Patricia is, just little things change. Would there be press coverage? Yes, you saw that. You saw some different fronts, 4-man fronts, 5-man fronts. You saw the little different stuff like that. But one of the guys I highlighted, and I referenced it and acknowledged that it was obscure, was Sidney Brown. Because I feel like the Eagles have a weapon in Sidney Brown. They have to learn how to harness this weapon. And Sidney Brown needs to learn how to harness his own talent. And I do think he has talent. Now, last night, not necessarily in the tackling department, but he's got talent. And last night, he did not exactly show that off. One awful missed tackle in the backfield where he had Walker dead to rights, had him wrapped up around the shoulders. For all the kids at home, that's not where you tackle. Go to the legs, go to the ankles, take them down that way. And then in another play where he missed the tackle on the backfield on the flat route, I think it was, to Walker as well. He missed it, and then Shaq Leonard just kind of said hello. I don't even know if it was a tackle attempt. It was not a tackle attempt. He ran to a spot, and then just his jockstrap was on the ground, and that was it. Walker was 20 yards up the field. Need to see a lot more from Sidney Brown, and I still think that there is a lot more from Sidney Brown. And one of the things I'm encouraged by, he's in the right place at the right time to make the play. He's just got to finish it. Much like you heard from Josh Sweat last week in Dallas, he's tired of not finishing as a defensive end. Same thing has to be said for Sidney Brown when he is being sent as a heat-seeking missile, as a safety or a nickel corner, whatever spot he's in, to get into the backfield and finish the play, whether that's on the quarterback, whether that's on a running back, whether that's on a receiver in the backfield. He's got to get back there and make that play. You didn't see that enough last night. But what is still shocking to me, because he is a safety, the worst cornerback on the field last night was James Bradberry. So that's a big compliment to Keely Ringo. That's a big compliment to Bradley Roby, and that's a big – how about Bradley Roby coming up on that first possession to stop DK Metcalf? That was pretty impressive. And also Eli Ricks getting involved there as well. It was a game where I thought the defense was, for the most part, meh. I mean, you are facing a backup quarterback, but I didn't expect all of a sudden I didn't expect Keely Ringo to be your best defensive back last night. And I did not expect Drew Lock to be able to be as accurate as he was on that 92-yard drive. If you're making a change, though, at defense, if you're making a change in defensive play caller, the reason you're making that change is so you can close out games. Fletcher Cox referenced it after the game last night. Fletcher Cox has talked about it over the last couple of weeks. You got to be able to close out games. Matt Patricia's unit did not do that. And they allowed a 92-yard drive to Drew Lock. And I'm going to tell you, I was in the green room at Ocean Casino last night. Mike Missinelli and I were just getting ready to go down to the set. And the Seahawks got the ball back, and I just said, "You watch this." And he goes, "No, Drew Lock's not going to do it." Now, I will say this. I gave Mike credit because he called Jake Elliott making that field goal a couple of weeks ago to force overtime against the Bills. He called it. He was so confident. I was like, "It's raining, Mike. I don't know. I don't know if it's raining, you know." He's like, "Oh, no, he got this. He got this." You know? And now I'll say this. I said Drew Lock's going to take him down the field Because what's going to happen here? Regardless if it's Matt Patricia, if it's Sean Desai, if it's Jonathan Gannon, in that situation, the Eagles are not going to be aggressive in terms of getting after the quarterback. They're not going to try to force Drew Lock into a mistake. You know what they're going to do? They're going to sit back and they're going to say, all right, you know what? Drew Lock, go ahead. You try to beat us. If you're going to beat us, then you're going to beat us with Drew Lock. We're going to build the receivers. We're going to have men deep in coverage here. We're going to be out covering everybody. We're not going to send anybody to try to pressure Drew Lock. Drew Lock marches down the field on what looked like a, I would call ridiculously easy play. 10 plays, 92 yards, minute 24, goes down the field, and they get the game-winning score. Metcalf caught one for 18 yards. Then Metcalf caught one for 6 yards. That was the one that was originally ruled an incomplete pass. It was a catch. By the way, they were Johnny on the spot with the replays last night, by the way. And then DK Metcalf caught one for 34 yards. And then the killer. Jackson Smith and Jigba for 29 yards, touchdown, arms outstretched. Eagles get the ball back, run a couple plays, and then the second interception of the game for Jalen Hurts. So let me know in the comments who you guys got number one in the blame game for yesterday's performance. But I sure as heck thought that if the Eagles were going to go so far as to demote, strip the play calling away from Sean Desai, that Matt Patricia was going to be charged with a pretty tough task of being able to come into Seattle and at least call a better game. I would say it was a little bit more creative. He definitely used Sidney Brown a hell of a lot more. You definitely saw some other guys get opportunities out there, and maybe Sean Desai was never going to do that. But bottom line was they were supposed to slam the door in a close game, and they weren't able to do it. Was it as close as I thought it would be? Nope. It was not. Did the Eagles put up as many points as I thought they would? Absolutely not. They couldn't force Drew Lock into making a mistake yesterday. Drew Lock had a passer rating yesterday that was more than double Jalen Hurts. You know that? I don't believe in passer rating to be the end-all, be-all of society, but Jalen Hurts had a passer rating of 40, and Drew Lock had a passer rating of 94 last night. Good times. Good times. Let's get into some of the conversation that was being had after the game, shall we? Let's hear from Nick Serianni. And Nick Serianni was asked yesterday immediately about the decision to go from Sean Desai to Matt Patricia as the play caller. When did it happen? How did it happen? And here we go.
The decision to go from Sean Desai to Matt Patricia, who made that decision and when was it made?
Yeah, I made the decision. I did what I thought I needed to do in the best interest of the football team. I didn't feel like, we made some adjustments there. I didn't feel like we were playing well enough and coaching well enough on defense, so I made an adjustment. And it was my decision, and that's what I did.
When did you make it?
When did I make it? I made it sometime in the middle of the week. Right when game planning was going on. I don't remember exactly what day it was. I'm always gonna listen. It was a tough decision to be able to do this, but again, like I said, I did what I felt like was best for our football team. We're always making adjustments, and that's what I did.
Who makes the final says on defense?
Coach Patricia.
After this last game, do you feel like you need to make another coaching change?
No.
I don't believe you, Nick. Oh, do you feel like you need make another coaching change? Any changes there? No. By the way, I'm firing myself. No. I've been talking about this all season. Really all season. Even in week 1 against the Patriots. When everyone in the locker room after the game was like, yeah, we won, but we were lucky. I didn't know that was going to be the theme for the whole season. But people were talking about Brian Johnson, play caller. You didn't see them run the ball well. You saw Kenny Gainwell get the start. You barely saw DeAndre Swift touch the ball. So it's like, well, they have to change play calling. Is Brian Johnson ready to be a play caller at the NFL level? And I'm like, well, here's one thing I know: Brian Johnson might not be ready, but I definitely know that Nick Serianni is not, being that he already relieved himself of play calling responsibilities 2 years ago and officially announced it going into this season, or 2 years ago. He announced it. That's pretty bonkers. So I don't see Nick Serianni all of a sudden be like, well, this is my job now. Sure, he might get more involved in it, but I don't see them ever making any kind of formal announcement, because I sure as hell do not think that they are going to embarrass Brian Johnson the way they did Sean Desai. And here's another thing. 2 things about this. Ready for this? One is, you are going to Seattle to most likely face Drew Lock, and you fired your defensive coordinator before that game. You demoted him. Fine, I'll be more accurate. Demoted him. Stripped him of play calling responsibilities. And then after that on the schedule, you got the New York Giants, and then you got the Arizona Cardinals. You must really think Sean Desai sucks. You must really think his play calling and overall philosophy stinks, even though at one point in this season you were 10-1 with him, and you lost to the 2 better teams than you in football, in the Cowboys. Well, they're not the only 2 better teams now. The Cowboys and the 49ers. And that was your flashing red light that Sean Desai stinks? Really? Okay, ballsy. Not how I would have handled it, but there you go. And now you're going to look at Brian Johnson and just say, after another performance of scoring less than 20 points in the game, everything's hunky dory there. Really, that's the direction we're going, because that seems insane. And you know what just seems cruel and unusual? With Sean Desai still being the defensive coordinator, he's gonna talk to the media again this week. Why? You just heard Nick Serianni say that the guy with the final say on defense is Matt Patricia. Does that mean that Sean Desai is going to continue to do the press conferences? Now, I find that to be humiliating for someone. Hey, you don't have any power on this anyway. But hey, you want to talk about it? No. And the reason I bring this up is because yesterday on the postgame show, John McMullen brought it up. We're not going to hear from Matt Patricia. And I'm like, just a second. The Eagles hire this guy who is only a one-time defensive coordinator. They bring him in. They have him coach for the first 14 weeks of the season. Demote him and bring in the guy that they had behind the scenes all along for the in case of emergency break glass guy in Matt Patricia. And now they're going to have him in front of the media. That's just cruel and unusual. That is the biggest, how do I say this? That is the biggest D-bag move you could ever have. We're going to embarrass the hell out of you, and you still got to talk to the media. They really want him to. They want him to quit. They really want him to quit. That's what it all boils down to. Yesterday, also, just as far as Jalen Hurts' health went in the game, Nick Serianni talked about that when he was asked about Jalen Hurts and flying out on his own on his own flight as opposed to being around the team, and talked about the status of Jalen Hurts during the game as well.
He really fought hard. Obviously, he was not feeling well at all. As you know, flying up separate. Thought that was obviously really a good decision. Jalen saying, we brought that up of not flying with his teammates so he didn't get anybody else sick. And then, he fought through. Being sick like that is no fun, and having to play in the rain and the cold. And so he fought through, and appreciate his efforts tonight to fight through in some tough times.
I was just curious, did he fight through? He fought through. Okay. Like I said, I hope it was a severe flu. I would never wish that on anybody, but I watched him play the way he played yesterday and the decisions he made yesterday. Oh, I hope he was foggy as all hell between the ears yesterday, because it certainly looked like it. As far as the offense being inconsistent, Nick Serianni on the original game plan, how well it was going, and then how it dropped off by the wayside.
Yeah, obviously I thought we did a nice job running the football, keeping drives going. We didn't get the finish in the red zone on the one. We weren't great in 2-minute offense today. If we weren't good at all in 2-minute offense, I think we were 0 for 3 in 2-minute, which accounted for a lot of those drives. We responded with they came up tied at 10-10, and we responded, and really wanted to be able to get up 2 scores on them, but obviously we weren't able to. I thought the defense was hanging in there and playing and doing some really nice things, and we just needed to pull away in that game, and we didn't. Some uncharacteristic things situationally, fundamentally, and anytime you have uncharacteristic things situation and fundamentally, that's got to go to me first. And so we all got to be critical on ourselves, me and starting with myself. And like I said, anytime it's the fundamentals or the situations that you got to look right at me for that.
Here's what I'll say about this. Fine, and I would normally do that with the head coach, but here's where I have an issue. Ready? Uncharacteristic things. What was uncharacteristic, Nick? What was uncharacteristic about this? Because if you've watched Jalen Hurts all year, interceptions have kind of become characteristic, not uncharacteristic. It has kind of become part of his game this year, as unfortunate as that is. As much as I love Jalen, I can't be Paulie pom-poms all the time. What was uncharacteristic? He's fumbled the football. He's thrown the football to the other team. That's what he's done a lot of this year. And that ain't great. That's nerve-wracking, especially when you know he can play at a much higher level and Drew Lock outplays you for the win. Jalen Hurts, sniffles and all, flu and all, banged up, beaten up, whatever the case may be, and all. Drew Lock wins a matchup against Jalen Hurts. Okay. All right. Just want to make sure we're all on the same page here. In total now, 12 interceptions on the season for Jalen Hurts. And to give you his fumbles, he has 5 fumbles on the season and lost 4 of those. 16. Again, not great, Bob. Here's Jalen Hurts on the missed opportunities that he had in the game. And you could hear it in his voice, by the way. Yeah, he wasn't 100%, but he played.
How much we communicate as players and, taking advantage of those moments when you have them to open the game open, whether it's in the final minutes or, early on when we false start in the short yardage situation. I mean, we just have to be better. I have to be better. Minimizing the mistakes, the penalties, the mental errors. Just playing team football, and it starts with me leading that. We've lost games, because I could be better. That'll change everything.
That I agree with. He could be better because this is what I've been talking. Actually, I'll wait to make this point after you hear him when he was asked about the interceptions last night. Here he is.
I was trying to be aggressive in that moment. We had multiple opportunities in the game to open it up, and we didn't do that. I didn't do that. I didn't do my job good enough. Bearing a lot of that. I just got to be better.
I learned from the Carson Wentz era here in Philadelphia, and I mean really other players as well, but things started falling by the wayside with Carson Wentz in a way in the second year of Michael Vick being here as the starter when things hit the fan big time. The quarterback can have struggles, of course. Any player can struggle. But in terms of sustained struggles, the quarterback can never be part of the problem. That's what a franchise quarterback is supposed to be. He is supposed to be, for lack of a better term, the standard. He is supposed to be the steady ship in the rough waters. And Jalen Hurts has not been that over the last 3 games. Whether it's not being able to punch the football in their first 2 drives against the 49ers, whether it's trying to get something going offensively against the Dallas Cowboys, or it's trying to step on the throat of a team like the Seattle Seahawks. he can't be part of the problem like he was part of the problem yesterday. And don't give me don't give me a tush-push touchdown. There were big plays left out there on the field, and bigger plays that he reached for when he was trying to be too aggressive that ended up costing this team in the long run. The biggest example is I started the show out by talking about the 1st and 10 in the early go, or the 8:15 left in the fourth quarter, and he bombs it down the field to Quez Watkins and underthrows him drastically for his first interception of the game. But even before that, when they had to settle for the field goal, or they settle for the field, like they go up 10-0. 10-0. Then Seattle's able to come back, get a field goal before the half, and then the Eagles get an opportunity with 1:42 left on the clock. And they get the ball back. They get a 15-yard penalty when it was Jones that got called for illegal hands to the face. Hurts misses his target. It's 1st and 10. Misses his target. 2nd and 10. Overthrows Dallas Goedert. Has a big scramble play. Can't get anything going. Then Hurts misses a throw to A.J. Brown. That was an opportunity there to at least get a field goal and reestablish going into halftime a 10-point lead again. Failed on that opportunity. Eagles end up getting the ball back again after their defense forced a 3-and-out. Eagles get the ball back with 27 seconds left. Hurts misses to Goddard. Hurts scrambles for 6 yards. Doesn't get much after that. Then misses Kenny Gainwell, and then they end up putting the football away. Third quarter, a lot of the same. They're able to get something going in their first possession of the third quarter, and then they go into the fourth quarter, and after a 3-and-out, they couldn't get anything going. Just not what you were expecting from this team. Not at all expecting what you were expecting from this team in this matchup. And then this is where some of the controversy rolls in here, and it has to do with the team not being committed enough. This was a huge eyebrow raise. The team's not committed enough. Jalen Hurts postgame.
Been on the same page. Everyone been on the same page, and we didn't execute. I don't think we're committed enough. Just got to turn it around. It's a challenge that we have to embrace. Just continue to see it through.
What do you mean by that, about being committed enough?
Commitment. I don't know that. I had a dictionary on me now. Excuse me. I don't know how else to say that.
I guess, how are you seeing that present itself?
Just, it's a matter of being on the same page. It takes everyone being all in all aspects, and it starts with me. There's multiple opportunities out there. In the end, there's not another way you'd rather have it. The trust that we have in one another, how much we communicate as players, and taking advantage of those moments when you have them to open the game open, whether it's in the final minutes or, early on when we false start in the short yardage situation. I mean, we just have to be better. I have to be better, minimizing the mistakes, the penalties, the mental errors.
A team that was 10-1, a team that had a lot of luck go their way, a team that is coming off a Super Bowl appearance. They're having commitment issues. That is the most unacceptable thing I could hear after a game. They're not committed enough to the scheme, to each other, to the game plan, to the game of football. He apologized for a little snarkiness there was Zach Berman. Well, I've had a dictionary. Okay, sorry. We got to be committed to everything. I feel like I need to be committed after the last 3 games I've watched this Eagles team play because it has been atrocious. But if there is a lack of commitment to the scheme, game plan, to each other, to playing the game, when you had Super Bowl aspirations going into this year, when you have leaders on this team like Lane Johnson or Jason Kelsey or Fletcher Cox or Brandon Graham, and you're not committing to one another enough, that ain't right. And this team is even more lost than I thought going into this game. Because let's not act like making a change of who's your defensive play caller. Let's not act like that's not a red flare being shot into the sky. Like, we don't know what the hell we're doing. Send help. That's a desperate thing to do. This team is in so much trouble. I'm expecting them to lose one more game. I'm expecting them to lose maybe 2 more games. Nothing would shock me at this point with the Eagles. Yeah, maybe Jalen Hurts, it feels better later in this week, takes on Tommy Cutlets and has no problems in that game. But you just lost to Drew Lock, so everything feels like it's over. Drew Lock's the guy that's also thrown 15 interceptions in a game. Or in a game, that'd be a record. 15 interceptions in a season. Think about that. Yeah, I don't know anyone that feels great about this Eagles team right now. Not even a little bit. There was one more thing that did get brought up, and it was internal changes with Jalen Hurts. I'll spare you. But he did say, people need to make internal changes. Feel like we need – what the hell? I'll just play it for you. Here you go.
There's a role in it. I know it starts with me, and we got to pick ourselves out of this. I ain't really too fond of the, you practice the same habits, you're getting the same results. And we have to make a internal change in how we attack things, how we come to work every day. It starts with the little things, how committed we are.
There you go. What he's getting at there is not an internal change with play calling, which is what I went, what? An internal change? It's about the team's commitment. It's about how they attack practice, and you just heard him say it there. You mean to tell me this team that struggled their asses off for 2 straight games, they went into the Seattle Seahawks game through the week, and they weren't committed to it? Guys are being lackadaisical? Guys aren't giving it their all? Hey, guess what? I know on paper it looks pretty talented, especially with this offense. You got 17 points. You've made in your last 2 games as an offense, you've made 2 trips into the end zone. That ain't good, man. That ain't good. Your defense scored your only touchdown in the Dallas Cowboy game, okay? That's not great. That's not great even a little bit. And that's where we are, nonetheless. Before I get into the chat check, ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you about the great people and MyBookie, mybookie.ag. Take advantage of all that MyBookie has to offer right now. MyBookie.ag. Use promo code Farzy for up to $1,000 redeemable in your cash deposit bonus. MyBookie, mybookie.ag. Use promo code Farzy. How about the beautiful people at Manscaped? Manscaped.com, the leader in below-the-waist grooming. They are fantastic. Manscaped, manscaped.com. Use the Lawnmower 5.0 and use promo code Farzy at manscaped.com. That's manscaped.com. Promo code Farzy, right there, Farzy, for 20% off and free shipping at Manscaped20. That's Manscaped20. Make sure you check them out and use promo code Farzy20 at manscaped.com for 20% off and free shipping. How about the amazing people at Game Time app? Download the Game Time app to your phone. Have yourself a great time with the Game Time app. That's promo code Farzy. That's Farzy when you download the Game Time app to your phone and get $20 off your first purchase when you use promo code Farzy. Let's get into the chat check, see how you wonderful people are doing today. Let's see. Krieger, Portland, Jamaica in the building? What's going on? Go Sixers. Coach Howie called down to Nick and said, stop running those plays. Jeffrey Lurie's analytics department doesn't approve those plays. That's funny. Brian, what's going on? DM, what's going on? Johnny. Daz, what's going on? Morning, fellas. How you doing? Hurts is complaining. Very funny. Teresa, what's going on? Good morning. I'm so glad some people are finally calling out this system quarterback. The NFL has figured him out. No excuses. Good morning, Fars. I always like the nice send-off right there at the end. I don't disagree right now. Right now. Philly gamer, what's going on? Hurts looked awful, almost like he shouldn't have played last night. Think about it. NJ Fishing, what's going on? Buddy Christ, what's going on? Daz, until the coaches stop being stubborn. Yeah, okay, I'll go with that. NJ Fishing, why the hell didn't we just get 15 yards at the end of the game and give Jake Elliott a chance? I don't know why. Well, I'll tell you why, because Jalen Hurts didn't see Kenny Gainwell. We gave Hurts $250 million for 1 year of greatness. I still think Jalen Hurts is going to come back to being a great player. Right now. Oh, you like that Jamarcus Russell reference? You're welcome. Say no to fat girls forever. What the hell, man? Or lady, I don't know. Don't be shocked by losses to the Giants, too. Yeah. Yanni, what's going on? I knew since the New York Giants game. Oh, that's pretty terrible. April! Good morning, April. Eagles look cooked. Yes, they did. Ringo Island, first off, great name. Love it. Jalen is the biggest problem with his offense. Was last night. Tell you that much. Sad thing is you have to keep Bradberry. Yeah, like a $12 million cap hit. Seth Joyner last night was just like, get rid of him. Get rid of him. Why do you throw a deep ball to Quez when you had the game in hand when Swift slid? I hear ya. We are all in the same. It's very rare that I just look at the comments and I'm just like, yep, we're all on the same page here. Drew Lock reminds me of when Joe Webb beat us. Hashtag Ambler proud. Ron. Damn right. I'm originally from Ambler. Grew up in Doylestown, but from Ambler. Bro Serianni is lying. Yeah, his face off. Face off. Scariani. I love it already. I'm going to use that. Thank you. Kellen Moore, OC. Oh, boy. Over Frank Reich. Let's party. Appreciate you guys. You guys are fantastic as per usual. Look forward to be back with you guys again tomorrow. But, yeah, absolutely terrible performance by the Eagles. Wish it was better. Wish it was better. Unfortunately, it's not. Have a great rest of your day, everybody. That's the show. I wish I could go on, but I just can't. Have a great rest of your day, everybody. My name is Mark Farzetta. This is the Farzy Show presented by MyBookie, mybookie.ag. See you guys tomorrow. Bye.